What's going on, everyone? Talen here, and welcome to another DC Unchained video. Alright, so in this one we're going to be taking a look at Wonder Woman here. So as you can see, I do have her at S rank, so I have played around with her a little bit now. So I'm going to give you kind of my thoughts and opinion on the character here. So let's go ahead and hop right into the active skills. So these are the skills that I generally like to use in PvE content. We have Athena's Blessing, the Sword Slash, and Lasso of Truth. Athena's Blessing is nice because it gives you that damage increase, so you have your increase to attack power, and then while Athena's Blessing is active, you do get a bonus from Sword Slash, which is why I have that there. So you get kind of an extra attack at the end of the skill where it leaves a kind of pool of light that will kind of explode after a second. And then we have the Lasso of Truth, which I like to have because it does stun the enemies and also will group a few of them together, which can be pretty nice. So those are generally my three PvE skills that I like to keep equipped. And then we have the Shield Strike and the Combat Skills of Amazon, which are the other two skills. And yeah, the Shield Strike is okay, but I don't really find myself using it too often. You can maybe substitute it in for the Athena's Blessing if you find that you don't need the extra attack power. It can be nice to have three skills that actually deal damage instead of having that one skill as a buff. And then also her EX skill, the Combat Skills of Amazon, is a really nice EX skill. I do like this skill, but generally for PvE, when I'm on autoplay, I don't usually have EX skills equipped, so that's usually the reason why you don't see any of my characters with the EX skill, or I don't talk about the EX skill a lot when I say PvE content, and that's generally because when I'm talking about PvE, I'm usually referring to it in autoplay, but on manual, the EX skill can be quite valuable. So yeah, it's definitely worth using on manual play, especially for harder missions, because it is going to be, of course, her most damaging skill. But now that we kind of have these skills out of the way a little bit, we could talk a bit about the gear here. So let's go ahead and hop over to the gear. So for the buff skill here, I have the second gear equipped, which is going to be the HP recovery. And the reason I decided to get this one was because she does need a little bit of help in survivability, because she doesn't have any other way to kind of heal herself with any of her skills or passives. So having this gear right here to get that 10% HP recovery every time she uses Athena's Blessing is very, very nice. It has made a pretty noticeable difference for me. I did try doing just the regular Streets of Gotham on Hell difficulty autoplay without this gear equipped, and I would make it to just before the boss, so the last set of enemies before the boss, before she got low on health and had to switch out, or the auto tagged her out. But then when I used this, I noticed that I was making it to the boss, and depending on what stage it was and what combat type the boss was, she was actually able to take out the boss without tagging out or anything like that, which is pretty nice. So now we'll go ahead and move on to the next gear here. Well, actually, we could talk about the other gear. So this one right here, it increases her movement speed by 30% for 10 seconds. Movement speed is nice, but I don't necessarily seeing it being worth the gold cards to level it up. And then remove all debuffs from Wonder Woman. That actually can be pretty useful in PvP content, so you can kind of remove those stuns and those kind of things with remove all debuffs, so that could be really nice. But, well, actually, now that I say that and think about it, you can't activate the skill if you are stunned, so maybe it's not as good as I was just thinking off the top of my head, because I was kind of thinking that it was a passive effect, but no, you need to use the skill to actually get this unique option. I'm pretty sure if this is a passive effect, though, and it will just constantly remove debuffs, then yes, it's going to be very, very good for PvP, but actually, I don't think it is going to be that, so never mind that. I don't think this one is that good, so definitely this one is the best option, at least in my opinion, for that particular skill. So now I'll move on to the Sword Slash here. So this one has, using the skill causes an additional explosion. So basically what I was saying, when you have the Athena's Blessing active and she does the hit with the Sword Slash, it will cause that pool of light that will explode. Well, now you get two pools of light that will explode, and you can get it even without using Athena's Blessing, so kind of bypasses that. So you can still get the same effect if you have that gear leveled up, which can be okay, because that explosion does do a pretty decent amount of damage, and it does knock down enemies, so it is actually a useful thing to have. And then here it adds a stun effect for 2 seconds, and the damage increased, which is nice as well, because getting that stun on the skill, but it's only for 2 seconds, can help with her survivability, because of course when they're stunned they're not going to be attacking you, so it's kind of gives you some more downtime to build up your skills. Or if you're getting low on health, you can just throw this attack in, and then for that 2 seconds maybe get a few normal hits in, and then kind of back off before the enemies can retaliate. But this one right here is the one that I decided to choose. And I like this one because it has like a vortex type effect to it, so it kind of groups the enemies together and does multiple hits. So I'm a big fan of kind of like the vortex skills in this game here, because it kind of distracts the enemies with multiple hits so they can't really attack you back. And then also while the vortex is going, of course, you can try to use another skill or normal attack, so you get all that extra kind of damage in while the enemy's being crowd controlled. So it's a really nice skill, so I definitely like this one here, and it was going to be the next one that I upgrade, but I did run out of gold cards, so I didn't get to upgrade it for this particular video here. But now we're moving on to the Lasso of Truth, and here we have the one that I decided to go with, which is increasing the stun duration to 5 seconds, which is very, very nice. And if you have this gear leveled up and activated, it's going to be really good for PvP actually, because then you can kind of use the same 3 skills that I've equipped right now for PvP. You can use Athena's Blessing to kind of boost up your attack, and then you can get the bonus for the Sword Slash, but you can use the Lasso of Truth here, stun them for the 5 seconds, and then you can go in for the Sword Slash. And since I'm going to be stunned for that 5 seconds, it does have enough time for the explosion at the end of the Sword Slash to actually take effect, so you can get the maximum amount of damage that way. So it can be useful if you level up this gear for PvP, but also I was thinking in terms of PvE too, so we can kind of just crowd control the enemies longer. And then here this increases the number of affected enemies to 10, so it's just better for PvE if you're finding that some of the stages are a little more difficult for you, or you're dying a little too quickly, that you can kind of just group all the enemies together and try to do like a burst hit or burst damage on them and take them all out a little bit quicker. Might be my only thoughts on this one here, but overall I don't think it's going to be better than the first gear. And then this one just increases the range, which again can be maybe good for PvP, so if the enemy's trying to escape you, you can kind of lasso him from a further distance away, but that would probably be the main use for that, because I don't really see it being too useful in PvE content, especially since the enemies will always try to chase you down, so you don't necessarily need that extra range. So that's why I decided to go with this gear here. And now the Shield Bash, whatever this what skill was called, I can't remember. Shield Strike maybe it was. I didn't pick one of these yet because I didn't really want to waste the gold, but I'll let you know the one that I wanted. Let's see. This one knocks down the enemy and the damage is increased, which is nice, but I think this one has the 2 extra hits. And this one, yeah, so this is the one I was thinking I was probably going to get, was it reduces the enemy's defense by 15%, so I can kind of just increase your damage output because it lowers the enemy's defense, which would be quite nice in PvE and PvP. But the next best one would probably be this one right here, because you do get the knockdown effect from it. So it will kind of break the enemy's combo or break the enemy's attack, because it will knock them down, and then of course the damage is increased, which is nice. This just adds 2 more swings to the shield hit, but it doesn't necessarily do anything like stun or knock them back, so it's not super useful. So I think you'd be better off spending the gold cards on one of those other 2 gears. And then finally we're moving on to her EX skill. So the first one here increases the charge attacks area of effect. And honestly, I didn't see a huge increase to the area of effect when I was trying this out in skill preview, so I don't really think this one is going to be too useful. I didn't see a very significant change in the area of effect. This one does increase the amount of arrows that are fired, which can be good because you could get like basically another volley of arrows in, because I believe you do 16 arrows, I want to say, without this, so it does give a nice damage boost. But this is the gear that I decided to grab, and it is the one where you get kind of the supply pack from the Amazons. They throw down some boosts for you, and you get an attack power, a defense up, and a HP recovery. And I decided to go with this one mainly because of that HP recovery, because as I was saying, she does need a little bit of help in survivability, and having that HP recovery is nice because having this option doesn't get rid of the actual attack itself, so you still get your volley of arrows, and then you just get these nice kind of buffs that are left behind for you to pick up, and you get that attack power, defense, and recovery, which is really nice. So that's why I decided I was going to work on that gear if I decide to get it leveled up all the way. So now we can move over to the passive skills here. So these are the two passive skills that I like the most. We have increases the physical defense by 20%, which is really nice because 20% is a pretty sizable increase. And then we have the increased attack speed by 20% as well, as long as your EX gauge is full. And I like this one because the increase to attack speed really helps her normal attack string, because her normal attack string can be quite slow, especially in PvE when you're doing like kind of like a longer stage or something like that. I've noticed that she just gets hit way too much before she can finish off the enemies, just because her attacks are a little too slow for her normal attack string. So this really does help, and I do see a significant difference when she gets up to full EX gauge, and then her attacks are a lot quicker. This one, I don't see it being very useful, maybe on autoplay, because you can maybe on autoplay if you have your EX skill equipped on her, because your EX will get drained while using that skill. So generally, when you're about to die or you're getting low on health, it's usually around the boss battle type area or the last stage. So you can hit the boss, and if you evaded, or not hit the boss, if you evaded one of the boss's attacks, then you should be able to switch to a character without using any resources. So it shouldn't matter if your EX gauge is low. But I'm not 100% sure if this successfully evading attack is from the triggerable evade that you push yourself or from a passive evade. I'm assuming though it's from a passive evade, since it says successfully evaded an attack, instead of some of the passive skills actually say activate dodge or use dodge skill or something like that. Just by the wording is what I'm going off of there. And then this right here is really good for PvP because you get a 15% HP shield when you hit the enemy, so that is very nice. You just get that extra HP right off the bat there, so that's very good. This one right here I don't find too useful, especially if you're using Athena's Blessing, because basically all it does is when you get below 30%, you get an attack power boost. You don't get any extra survivability or anything like that, or not that I've noticed, because I did go below 30%, and I looked at the top of the screen where it says your active buffs, and all it showed was an attack power buff, so it doesn't do anything for survivability that I can tell, at least. So if you have Athena's Blessing, your Athena's Blessing can give you a higher boost, because I believe this one is only a 15% boost to your attack power. So yeah, again, I don't find that passive skill too useful, unless maybe you're not using Athena's Blessing and you are using the EX skill, so you don't want to use the attack speed increase. Then maybe you can throw this in with the physical defense or something like that. That's one of the scenarios I could see it being useful. And now we'll go ahead and look at her leadership. Her leadership is, after using a skin, you get a continual healing of your SP and EX, so by 2.4 and 1.2 per second, which is pretty nice actually. So it's basically once you activate the skin, you're going to constantly get this effect. So it'll add this as a permanent, well, I shouldn't say permanent, because if you switch characters it does go away. It's only going to be on that character that actually used the skin, but it is very nice to get that passive EX and SP healing. And then for her team member bonus, she increases the attack power of all allies by 1.2% if they are in the nature, xeno, or religious area, which is nice. 1.2% is a little bit low, but still it's better than nothing. So you can definitely throw her into the team if you know you're going to be on one of those areas, if she is one of your, of course, leveled up characters. So yeah, that's going to be the skills. So now we'll go take a quick look over here at the Velarium. So for the Velarium, I have, of course, some skill cooldown and SP cost efficiency on there, but then I think that she actually will benefit quite well from the defensive Uru, because she just needs a little bit of help in survivability, or at least that's kind of the impression that I've been getting while playing her, so that's why I've been kind of going for the gear that gives her the heal, and then giving her a little bit more defense on the Uru here. So that's why I have those defensive Uru active. So you can, of course, build her however you see fit. So if you notice that you don't necessarily need the extra survivability, then I'd probably go with attack power or crit rate on her. So we'll go ahead and take a look at these stats here, because she doesn't have any native crit rates. If we go down there, yeah, so her crit rate doesn't have, like you see, any bonuses to it, so she doesn't have any from the actual Velarium slot itself. So you definitely want to probably boost that up before you boost up the crit hit damage. But anyway, that is going to be the Velarium. So I guess I'll just show the comic cards real fast just so you know where she's at. We have 23, 32, and 35 for her comic cards. And then we don't have anything equipped right now on her tactics. And I showed off the stats, so now all that's left is to actually show off some gameplay of her. So let's go ahead and jump right into that. Alright, so here we are at the streets of Gotham for the Hell difficulty. Just going to go ahead and let her run through here on autoplay. And as you can see, she goes ahead and buffs herself, and boom, that kind of aura on the ground there that did that explosion is the bonus effect that you are getting from the Athena's Blessing. So there we get our heal from the first skill, which is really nice to help kind of keep her topped up during the fight here, keep a little more sustainability on Wonder Woman. And then, yep, there's the lasso that's kind of stunning it together. So that's kind of why I like these three skills. They kind of combo well together, getting that increase to attack power and then being able to stun the enemies. And then we have that knockdown effect on the sword slash if we actually hit them with it. And of course, the AoE from it is nice as well. So we're just going to see if she can run through this by herself on auto here, or if I'm going to have to use any potions or anything on her. And there we go. We are at a full EX gauge, so her attack speed has been boosted. So as you can see, her normal attack string is a little bit quicker now, which definitely helps, because even with this bonus to the attack speed, she's still a little bit slow on her normal hits. So yeah, all of the attack speed that you can get is going to be very helpful for Wonder Woman. I think we're fighting energy types here. That's why it's taken her a little while to take these guys down. Alright, there we go. So yeah, we're on to the boss stage here. And what type? We have, oh, the boss is energy, so this will probably be a bit of a challenge for Wonder Woman here. Might take her a while if she's able to take him down. I might have to use a potion here in a second. We'll wait as long as we can, see if she can get this under control. But yeah, the damage is quite low. Yeah, that explosion is actually quite nice too from the sword slash. That's kind of just a passive effect that it does put on the enemies. You do not need Athena's Blessing to get that kind of effect. Basically, it has like a electrocution kind of looking effect. It looks like there's kind of lightning or something that's stunning the enemies or wrapping itself around the enemies, and then that'll explode after a few seconds. Yeah, just have a little bit of trouble here with that energy type boss. You definitely would be doing this a lot quicker if she's fighting a speed or a power one. I don't even know if she can do this without switching. Come on, Wonder Woman, power through it. Yeah, Doesn't look like we're able to quite do it, so we'll let Siren finish it off here. And there we go. Alright, so like I said, if the boss was any other element, that would have been a lot quicker, because it does make a pretty big difference if you're fighting at a type disadvantage. But let's see, 3 minutes and 42 seconds, so yeah, that'd be considered quite slow. But doing this stage, when I get one of the other levels that does not have an energy type, she was generally clearing it in about 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes 45 seconds, around that area. So about a minute quicker when she was fighting a kind of neutral type boss, or a boss where she had advantage. So anyway, that is going to be some PvE content. So now let's go ahead and jump into a little bit of PvP gameplay. Alright, so these are the skills that I'm going to be using for the PvP fights. We have Athena's Blessing, Lasso of Truth, and the combat skills of Amazon. So we have her EX skill, of course I threw in there instead of the Sword Slash, because like I said, that is a bit of a slower skill to animate. But of course, if you want to, you can throw in the Shield Strike and get all damage skills instead of having that buff in there. But like I said, I really like having the Athena's Blessing in there, just get the extra attack power boost and also that heal, which can be quite useful even in PvP. So let's go ahead and switch that back. And then for the passive skills here, all I did is switch out the attack speed one for the barrier effect, because like I said, you're getting that 15% HP boost just from hitting the enemies is quite nice. So yeah, let's go ahead and hop into the PvP fights. Alright, here we go. So let's see if all of these guys are S rank or not. Hopefully they are. Alright, cool, they are. So let's go ahead and start off with our buff here. Boom. We'll go ahead and lasso him up. Get a few normal attacks in there, and oh, Joker's health is melting a little bit there. Go ahead and lasso him up again, and as you can see, we do have that HP shield. It just went away right there, but that was the blue bar, and that was just for hitting the enemy. So grab him with the lasso again, and then we'll hop into our EX skill here. And there, down he goes. So not too bad, but that was just an AI battle there. So let's do another fight there, since that one was nice and quick. Alright, so here we are for another PvP match, and it looks like we found someone that might be a little bit tougher than our last opponent here. So yeah, he's got all level 60s, and yeah, he's quite a high level. I don't see too many people that are actually in the 50s, as of right now at least. So let's go ahead and let our skills get back here. Alright, we'll stun him, get a few hits in. Oh, we need to get away from that. Alright, didn't do too much damage, so let's see if we can't stun him and then use our EX. Oh, apparently not. I guess you can't lasso him out of that skill. Alright. Oh, he's switching, alright. Alright, so let's pull him over here. Let's get that lasso going, and now let's get our EX skill off and see what that does. Well, it did a pretty good amount of damage to him. Ooh, he dodged our lasso. Alright, now we got Batman coming in, so let's go ahead and let our skills get off the cooldown here. Oh, that still hit him. Alright, let's see if we can't hit him with our EX here. Alright, there we go. Not too bad. Got about half of his health down. Oh, and switching again. And that's something that only the AI will do. Like, after the skill's already started its animation, and then they're able to move the targeting, like mid-skill. You can't do that when you're manually controlling the characters, but the AI can do that. Alright, he's probably going to use his EX skill here. Oh, no, he didn't. Alright, well, there we go. That was a little bit longer, but his character's probably a lot more built up than that last person that I fought. But anyway, that's just going to be a quick look at Wonder Woman in PvP. That's generally how I like to play her so far, but I don't really play PvP very much, so I'm definitely not going to be the best in terms of giving advice for kind of like PvP type builds or PvP tactics for Wonder Woman here. But her skin is definitely going to be a lot more useful in PvP than her base form, because I do see the skin a lot more often in PvP, and it's got a lot more utility than kind of her base form here. It's got some silencing, it's got stuns, the normal attacks are a lot quicker, so it's got a lot more going for it in terms of PvP. So you probably would use the skin over her regular form here if you're going to make her one of your main kind of PvP characters. But that's just kind of my thoughts on her overall with the time that I've spent with her. So yeah, I'm definitely like Wonder Woman. I'm happy I did get her to S rank. She does seem a lot better though for PvE content than PvP. She does need a little bit of build up to be able to kind of survive some of the harder difficulties or harder Unchained levels and stages, so I do kind of want to keep that in mind. Just because she doesn't have any passive healing, that's pretty much the only real downfall to her, but luckily you can get healing through her gears, which seems to really help her survivability and kind of like her ability to play PvE on autoplay. So yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts on Wonder Woman here. I hope you guys enjoyed, and of course I will catch you in the next one.